Hopefully your week is going well. Hello and welcome. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our lead stories this hour. 4 fires in 3 days. Residents in the Ashanti region capital of Kumasi alarmed as the city's biggest spare parts hub becomes the latest to catch fire. We're live on the ground as a firefighter is injured while battling the fire. Hospital wards gradually filling up as severe cases of COVID-19 are recorded in Ghana this afternoon. There is a call to revisit Ghana's COVID-19 seriousness thrown to the wind, including suggestions to use law enforcers to compel COVID protocol compliance. Also, a quest to control civil society organizations in education or a genuine call to safeguard the industry. We hear the argument of the Ghana Education Service as it proposes registration of such groups vis-a-vis that of the CSOs themselves. The pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Digny Lu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. Join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We are streaming live on YouTube and our other social media handles. Do send us a WhatsApp on 0540109009. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. And we begin in the Ashanti region. The regional capital, Kumasi, is on fire. Well, not literally, but 4 fires have been recorded in 2 days in different parts of the capital. Will send signals like that. In the last few hours, fire has been raging at the popular Swami Magazine spare parts enclave, capping devastation which has rendered scores displaced. We'll take you live there shortly. First, though, here is a report on some of those fires. This one happened at Abuabo on Monday. Nanaya Jima Mensa was there for us.
Love News checks reveal the 2 arrested include a shop owner and a welder he had engaged to do repairs in his shop. ACP Kwekubua is commander for the Menshia Divisional Police.
We are ensuring that people who have their wares inside can safely and securely bring their wares from within this badly burnt building. Yes, that's what we are doing now. We are not allowing anybody to go inside. You were there with us. You saw how bad the upper floor is. It could collapse in any moment from now. I'm not an engineer, but I'm telling you that that top floor can easily collapse. And if we allow people to go in, we are sure to get some casualties.
What happened to the 2 people who were arrested?
Oh, they are in custody and they are assisting with the police investigations. We have to investigate before we charge. If you have not done investigation, you can't charge anybody. We are investigating, so they are surely assisting us in our investigations. But let me tell you something. If someone causes an act without intending to cause it, but causes it without such reasonable care and skill as necessary under the circumstances, that person can be held for negligently causing that event.
Fire service at the scene picked some exhibits for further investigation into the cause of the inferno. The scene has since been cordoned with police protection. Abdul Basit Gariba Audu is Subin Sub-Metro Zonal Coordinator for the National Disaster Management Organization.
Yesterday's incident, so what we are now in to do is we are in to clear the debris and make sure everything has been put to safety before, if there should be any consideration for anything to take place before we determine that. That is another option, but that is not the option for now. That will be determined by the engineers, whom will be coming subsequently. So for now, we are in to make sure that the remaining properties are safe. We've done assessment of the whole situation since yesterday, and we've done some partial assessment of the building. As you can hear, there are some explosives, so if I should give you any statement with regards to assessment, I'll be giving you something halfway.
For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
So that was the 3rd fire in 2 days, and today there is another, this time at Swami Magazine. Take a look. me cross over to Kumasi and talk to Nana Jima, who has been following this for us. Hello, Nana.
Yeah, Gifty.
So in the video, we're seeing, a group of people. Tell us what is happening, particularly, and smoke billowing from this building.
So it's actually an inferno today, which gutted a two-story building, which is a warehouse for spare parts. And this happened at the Some magazine. And Some magazine is known for the sale and repairs of vehicles and also spare parts. So the information we have now is that the fire started from the second floor of the building, and it has ravaged the whole floor, and it is spread to other parts of the building, but the fire service were on time to help douse the fire. And what we can also report is that one of the personnel of the service, during the fight of the fire, got injured in the process, but the information we have is that the individual is responding to treatment.
Nana, we know that people are alarmed, and they should. What are they saying about the fact that in 3 days they've recorded 4 fire outbreaks?
So there are lots of people who are not happy with the situation, and it's raising a lot of concerns. Some believe that it could be issues of suspected arson, but fire service and also NADMO and other personnel who are security in the security agencies are not saying anything pointing to that. There are others who believe that these are fires with genuine causes, and the fact that it's been recurrent and it's been in a series in 2 days do not mean anything. It could be just usual occurrence, or they are just they are just coincidental. So there are a number of reasons that people are given to these series of fire that's ravaging different areas. But mind you, the fire that started at the Gomba line, a lot of people are not blaming anybody for the cause, because it's been an annual ritual. Last year, before the lockdown, similar fire gutted the Gomba line, and this time too, it has happened again. And the Gomba line is actually a slum in Kumasi. So some people are giving various reasons for the cause of these infernos, but there haven't been any cause to attribute these infernos to issues or incidents of arson.
What about the Ghana National Fire Service? One of their men today was injured. What are they saying about these fires?
So the Ghana National Fire Service continue to advise members of the public to ensure that their gadgets and also wiring to their homes are done properly, and also advising people to ensure that they deal with fires as they are supposed to. They do not allow their children to play with fires, and also take care of their gadgets so that these things do not cause fire in their homes or in their neighborhood. And they are also saying that they are ready to move in to help if these fires should occur anywhere. But speaking to the member who today was injured, the information we have now is that he is doing well. Immediately the incident happened, they transported the individual to the hospital, and so far the information we have is that the personnel is responding to treatment.
We had a distress call at 0810 hours in the morning that there is an outbreak of fire at Magazine just behind the Methodist Church. And really we dispatched the first appliance to come, and when it came we saw that the fire was well alight, and therefore additional appliances are needed. So quickly we sent 2 additional appliances to make it 3 to manage the incident. The bigger challenge is getting access to the place, because the entire place has been packed with broken cars and then other vehicles. So that was one of the hindrances that we had in getting closer to the incident. The situation is under control. Even the fire finally extinguished. What is left is salvaging that we're making to ensure that everything is completely out. Oh, he's stable. He's been sent to hospital and then he's been attended to.
Nana, I know this just happened, but let's take a look at what the fire service has said concerning the previous other outbreaks. What did they say?
All that they could say is that they are investigating these issues, and mind you, these incidents have been happening in the space of 3 days from Sunday. So they are still on the ground trying to investigate the cause of these fire incidents. What I know is that, for instance, what happened at KNUST, we have school authorities who have also set up a committee to investigate incidents on campus that could lead to future fire incidents. So authorities in these areas are also trying or working together with the National Fire Service to ensure that these incidents do not happen. For instance, concerning the incident at Abuabo, what we know is that NADMO is on the ground, and already 2 people have been arrested for possible or suspects. People believe that they could have started the flame, and they include one welder and a shop owner who on the day went to the area to do some work in one of these shops. So authorities, the National Fire Service, and all other parties who in one way or the other are connected to these fire incidents have been working together, and they are all waiting for the investigation or the reports from the investigations that the National Fire Service is conducting into these incidents, and they will take appropriate action based on the reports that they receive from these quarters.
And finally, for the people whose shops, or the people who are victims of this fire, I don't know if you've been able to have a conversation with them. What does this mean to them? What do they say?
For instance, what happened at the KNUST campus, I met some of the owners of these shops which got burnt, and most of them were hoping that since students are back, they were hoping to cash in on the markets that they have now. But unfortunately, due to the fire that ravaged the area, one of the women actually lost a 3,000 CD loan that she had contracted to invest in her business. So it's been a difficult moment for some of these people as they count their loss. For instance, at Abuabo as well, I spoke to one person who had lost over 600 bags of rice to the inferno. Most of them are working with loans, so incidents like this is a major setback to their businesses. Interestingly, the recent incident also happened happened at a commercial area, and it's also a warehouse. So 3 of these fires did get businesses, so it affected the people in these areas, or the owners of these shops and warehouses. So it's been a difficult moment for these people, especially the businesses. For instance, yesterday at the Gomba line, some of the people were rendered homeless by the inferno, but the NADMO and other agencies were able to secure this church for them to pass the night. So it's been a difficult situation, as I've continuously said.
Okay, Nana, if you can hang on for me, let me speak to DO3 Desmond Aqua with the Ghana National Fire Service Ashanti region. He's a PRO for the region. Ms. Akwa, thank you very much for your time and good afternoon. What do we know? What does your preliminary investigation show? Or what does it tell you about this latest fire at Swami Magazine?
All right, a very good afternoon to your cherished listeners. As I speak with you, investigations are ongoing. We know for a fact that the fire started from the second floor, and then it traveled to the first floor, then to the ground floor. Because of the initial difficulties that we had in assessing the state of fire. So I'm sure by close of day tomorrow, we should be able to tell your audience, the general public, as to what actually led to the fire.
That said, it presupposes that you have information or you have much more details on what happened in the two other or the three other fires that have been recorded. Can you share that with us?
Gifty, if you look at what happened at KNUST last Sunday dawn, our preliminary investigation points to the fact that there was this refrigerator which had some fault with the clocks. Therefore, the evidence that we have gathered, it shows that the fire erupted from the faulty socket, and then the fire traveled along the cable or the plug wire, and then sparked the fire. So we are much aware that that is what actually led to that particular fire. Meanwhile, we are not done with our investigation with that particular case. So we will continue to go deeper and narrow, because if we say electrical fault is broader. Is it an arc fault? Is it a short circuit? What actually is it? So we want to get to the nitty-gritties of it, and then probably at a later time, when we are done and certain, we will let your listeners also hear about it. That's of the Dagomba line. It is obvious that the welding machine could not actually take the load, or the load in that particular structure where the welding was taking place would not actually support the welding machine. Therefore, there was overload of the circuit, and then the fire. I'm happy that the shop owner and then the welder are assisting the police and then us to unravel what actually led to the fire. So we are pretty much on course when it comes to finding the cause of these fires. What happened yesterday at the Dagomba line 2 is no different. Nobody is behind these fires. It presupposes that most of these fires are caused by our own negligence and the act of not adhering to the basic fire safety measures that we have been churning out over the years. If you go into the Dagomba fire, from the information and the investigation that we've done so far, they were negligent in the use of naked light. You know, that place is full of scrap dealers. Sometimes when they go for these scraps, they have to apply some form of naked light to get the kind of metals that they need from some of the equipment that they source for to get their scraps. And therefore, they were careless, and it got into contact with these wooden makeshift structures. And you know the season that we are in, and per the availability of the fuels available, the structures are so close to each other. There are other combustibles there that will react very fast and then give off heat and smoke and flame. Therefore, I wish you were there to experience the kind of hellish heat that yesterday we went through. So we are pretty much on course in unraveling the fires, the causes of these fires. So we would want to plead with the general public that we've always been hammering on this. I mean, if we do not change, we do not, let's say, turn on a new leaf in the way we handle fire, and then some materials that could easily cause fire. I mean, these fires will not stop any moment from now. Go to many homes, go to many, let's say, places, firms, institutions, and you will find there that there are other objects as big as my head sitting on their cylinder regulators. This one, you don't need an angel to come from heaven to tell you that your gas is leaking. There's a problem with your gas cylinder. The valve is faulty, or the seal in the valve is faulty. you have your tube, rubber tube leading from the gas cylinder to the stove, probably is leaking, and therefore you should send it to the filling point and then get them changed at a very lower cost. Why would you wait for the gas to leak, get into contact with any other, let's say, ignition source, and create fires at home? We still go to the gas filling point, and we kind of threaten the gas or the pump attendants to fill or to overfill our cylinders. That if they fail to do that, we will not patronize their gas. I mean, what kind of behavior is this? We still continue to leave naked light, like matches, like candles, mosquito coils, in the hands of our children. And children, for them, they will mimic us, and therefore they will do as they see us do. And because they don't have the knowledge base or the know-how, when they play with it and they get out of hand, the fires would occur.
So that's some good education there. But then
in our various markets and leaving their fires closer to combustibles, and these will burn at night, and they will call us and we'll go and manage it. So why is it that we cannot put let's say, develop a change of heart and mind in the way we handle fires and related materials?
So I'm coming back to the string of fire outbreaks that we've had in your region. Some people may have cause to believe that there's something, fishy going on. Is it an unjustifiable suspicion when people begin to feel that this is work of arsonists, rather, based on the information available to you?
Yes, earlier on, before the Christmas break and even during the festivities, we had a lot of intelligence that suggested that, yes, people would want to take up the law or to take the law into their hands and then cause havoc to, places of public interest. And because of that, we also intensified our patrol surveillance, and then we intensified our education as well. And since that time, no fire had been recorded that has been attributed to an arsonist or an arson attack or were deliberately caused. We don't have any cause to suspect that these fires are caused by people with bad motives. Okay. Just to wreak havoc on the lives of people and even the nation at large. Okay. So what I'm saying is that most of these fires are preliminary investigations that we have done are caused by our own selves. Therefore, we should be a bit more cautious when it comes to handling naked light and fire materials, and our activities must also be checked so that these fires will not get out of hand.
Great. Let me end by asking you about your colleague. One of them, we understand, was injured today while battling the fire. What happened and how is he responding to treatment?
Yeah, we thank God that now he is in stable condition. He has been taken to Confanoche Teaching Hospital where he is receiving medical attention. It's unfortunate that during the firefighting, he had to slip on the stairs and then got one of his joints dislocated. And we pray that God heals him, and then we would ensure that he gets all the medical attention that is needed. What
actually happened to him?
Yes, whilst we were fighting the fire in the upper floors, whilst climbing with a branch, he unfortunately slipped on the stairs. The stairs, when we fight fires in that condition, they get slippery. So I'm sure probably when he stepped, then he slipped. And that unfortunately incident happened.
How bad is the injury?
Everything now is under control. We just don't want to create unnecessary fear and panic. I think we are managing the situation, and we are pretty sure that very soon he will get back to his feet.
Very well. Regarding the, just a quick clarification here, regarding the fire at the Dagoma line, in which the welder have been arrested, you indicated that you are glad that they are helping the police with the investigations, but do you know where they are at the moment with the investigation, and what should we expect if anything like that at all exists at this point?
For investigations, it's a tedious work. That is the most important part of the whole fire management process. So we don't want to run ahead of time and then say anything that would jeopardize our efforts. in trying to unravel the actual cause of the fire. So what I would say is that the people of Kumasi should be rest assured. We are resolute. We are ever prepared. Just that they should call us on time for us to also respond on time. Okay. This attitude of always blaming us for not arriving to fire scene early enough and all that should be put a stop should be put at, because it is not right that you are in need of our help or service and then you call us to come, and we come, you take clubs, some other implements to harm us. I mean, it is not helping us. So please, our emergency number still remains 112. Anytime they call us, we are ever prepared. Now, if you come to Ashanti region, we have 23 fire stations. All the fire stations have robust, functional fire engines. So I don't know what is stopping them. Like if there are accidents, if there are fires, if there are, let's say, structural collapse and related emergency, they cannot call us on time, but would rather prefer to salvage their property before calling us late when things have gotten out of hand. Please, we don't want to work with the public in 2020 like they've done in the past.
2021, you mean?
Then let's work well to prevent these hellish fires.
All right. Well, say a very big thanks to you for your time. DO3 Desmond Aqua is the PRO for the Ashanti Region Ghana National Fire Service. Let me finish this conversation with Nanaya Jima, my colleague who has been following up on these fires for me. Nana, so of course we know that we don't have a regional minister at the moment, otherwise we'll be getting to some of these heads to find out what their response has been. But there is an assembly, right? Has there been any response from any of the current people in authority in the region at all to what is happening?
So the only authority we've been able to get in touch with is the National Disaster Management Organization. Yesterday, we met the leadership at the Dagomba line when the fire service was on the ground trying to douse the fire. And according to them, they are waiting for the findings of the fire service investigation. But what they'll continue to do is to strengthen education to the public so that these fire incidents will not be recorded in the Ashanti region anymore. What they did yesterday for the people of the Dagomba line is that they brought some relief items and found them shelter for the night. So the National Disaster Management Organization is on the ground, and they are doing their best to ensure that the Ashanti region doesn't record any of such incidents going forward or in the future.
Nanaya, thank you very much for staying with us through and giving us all the details. Nanaya Jima is my colleague there, joining me all the way from the Ashanti region on the fires there. Now, the Government Environmental Sustainability Task Force has arrested 7 Chinese nationals and seized 10 excavators as it moves to save forest invaded by illegal miners in the western region. The renewed onslaught seeks to save the country's natural resources affected by illegal mining activities. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko followed the team of armed military and police personnel to Tabosere Forest Enclave close to Deaso and now reports.
The team stormed the Tabosere Forest Enclave and caught these Chinese miners by surprise. They have invaded the forest, destroying natural resources spanning about 10 football fields.
It looks like there is no end to this illegal mining craze. Now, deep within the Tabosere Forest Enclave, you could see over 10 excavators within this forest, destroying it with impunity.
The Oda River, which runs through this forest, has turned milky mud with no sign of life. The thick forest cover has been depleted, with scenes of tree species cut and buried in mud.
Commander, do any problem?
One of the commanders loses balance as we thread dangerous routes, the only link between these illegal mining sites. The team learned many of the miners destroying this forest have no permits.
So far, nobody has been able to show us any legal documents binding their operations here.
One of them is Alhaji Issa Odati, who had physical confrontation with the task force. He claims the concession was awarded to him by the Minerals Commission, but has no documents to prove.
This site was given to us by the Minerals Commission. I'm into small-scale mining. We are not given any documents. Concessions are given to miners.
Every month we pay 20,000.
We pay 20,000 Ghana cedis every month. It's part of the community mining regime.
At this site, where we found close to 12 excavators, the supervisor, Wan Umar, said they were mining with permission from some powerful people.
Hello, Director.
Later, a man who identified himself as Charles Owusu, a relative of the late Sir John, claimed ownership of the illegal mining site, begging the team to leave the site. But the task force removed all the excavators and transported them across the Oda River. In all, 10 excavators were effectively tracked out of the forest. 7 Chinese miners were arrested and transported to Accra for prosecution.
The environment here is begging to be saved. These trees you see behind me, some have been standing for hundreds of years, will be no more if no action is taken. Reporting for JoyNews, Erastus Asaredonko, Tabosre, Western Region.
You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty, and Pierre. Very worrying situation with the illegal mining activities there. We'll take a quick break. Another worrying situation that we'll be talking about when we return is COVID-19. While hospital wards are gradually beginning to fill up, severe cases of the COVID-19 are also being recorded here in Ghana, according to medical practitioners. This afternoon, there is actually a call to revisit our COVID-19 seriousness that we seem to have thrown to the wind, including suggestions we should use law enforcers to compel COVID-19 protocol compliance. We'll talk about it when I return from this break. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, the Ghana Education Service says it will from tomorrow release a set of COVID-19 guidelines targeting parents. The service says this has become necessary for parents and pupils at home to familiarize themselves with what will be rolled out in all schools as academic work begins next week. This has also been triggered by concerns from parents on how the schools will ensure the safety of pupils, especially toddlers, who are also expected to resume school. We'll hear from the GES shortly. Some parents have already started the campaign at home. Judith Awachitando has been interacting with one of them and has more in this report.
Meet 40-year-old Theresa Brown. She is a mother of 4 and is teaching her children how to wear face masks as schools prepare to reopen.
Anytime you have to wear the nose mask, you sanitize your hand first. What did I say?
Sanitize your hands first.
Good. And then make sure that anytime you are holding a nose mask, you are holding this side of it. Okay. You don't hold here, because you're coming to use this place to cover your nose. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You check both sides. There's the part where it's very hard. It's a bit harder than the other side. That side will come up. So you look at me. Will come up. And then you wear it this way.
As a mother, it has been difficult explaining to her children not to hug and shake hands with other children. With COVID-19 cases rising, she is worried about how her children will cope.
The very little one, the one, he's about 7 years old. And sometimes you will see, he will pull his nose mask down. I put it back and I'm tired. I'm just tired. I can't breathe. And you can't do anything about it. You can't say you should remove it because he needs it to protect him. And it's been difficult. It's been difficult trying to get them to come to the realization that this is the life now, this is the norm now, and things has to be done the right way.
Mrs. Brown is encouraging other parents to take nutrition seriously to boost the immune system of their children.
We are looking at even for them building their immune system, because when they go to school, they are not able to eat well. They will leave home very early in the morning, maybe take a little breakfast. And then when they are in school, they have to take their snack, and they have to also take their lunch at school. For me, I prepare the food from the house. And so if the children are not able to eat it at school when it is cold, that will mean that they will go and come back and have not eaten lunch cold because they can't eat. Immune system cannot be built.
She admits the uncertainty of adhering to safety protocols and argues that it is more dependent on parents than teachers to ensure the safety of their children.
Surety, no. I would also not say I'm afraid because I am not the type who entertain fear. And so we would have to hope that things will go well and hope that parents will will not stop educating their children. The teachers can do just a little at school. So the burden is now on the parent to consistently do that.
Learning to live with the virus appears challenging, but until many are vaccinated against the virus, the world would have to learn to deal with a new normal. Judith Awatritando for JoyNews.
So something to do at home as well. The Deputy Director General of Management Services, Anthony Boateng, says parents should not worry as adequate measures are in place to ensure their safety.
A lot of things will change because we are to keep social distancing. We are to ensure that the children observe the protocols as have been put in place. We are to ensure that teachers interact with the students much more closely and much more intensely, because there are a lot that have been missed and we need to cover up. So a lot of things will have. We are not going to have the things as usual. A lot of things will have to be changed. A lot of it, much more concentration and effectiveness has to come into the system. There are guidelines. You see, madam, what is happening is that we will encourage everybody to be calm. Like we did with the phase reopening, we provided guidelines for the schools, and these guidelines are sent to the school authorities. Now, in the current exercise, the one we are doing, as I speak to you, today is a Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Right. By tomorrow, we will release the first set of guidelines that we are targeting parents so that they can liaise with their children whilst at home, help us educate them on some of the guidelines that they'll be going through in school, so that the children will be much more familiar. I'm sure you might have seen, we have just sent out a release to our schools, and we've asked that the first 8 weeks should be used to clear up those subjects, those topics that we have not been able to clear as a result of the closure. So we use the first 8 weeks to do all that mopping up, and then we will then build upon in their new class. You see, that is, if you look at the structure, we have a structure which aims at returning the schools to the normal academic calendar. So next year, for example, we will structure it in such a way that this year, the academic year will end around around October, November. Next year, hopefully, if we are still alive, it will end around August, September. And we expect that by the third year, we will return to May, June.
Okay.
So that is how we are managing it in such a way that we can return the academic year to its normal.
Okay.
He has also been responding to how they will deal with the congestion in some of the schools.
We'll observe social distancing where there are specific cases of schools where the populations are extraordinarily large. District directors would be, because we don't want to, it will not be general. It will depend on the specific school. And we will encourage that we will, district directors, we have already met with them. They will be directed on how to deal with specific cases of overpopulation.
Okay, when you say how to deal with it, are there examples that you talked about that you want to share? So for instance, let's use this number of 60.
Yes, you see, when there are 60 students in one class, it's too large, and in the environment in which we find ourselves. So for example, what we have done is that we will try to see if there's nearby. One of the things, we have done some studies, and one of the things we have noted is the issue of school feeding. You go to a compound or you go to a community and there are two schools. One school is on school feeding, the other is not. You find the school with school feeding overpopulated, while the other one, because many children drift towards those schools with the school feeding. What we are trying to do, and what we have, the discussion is already underway. How do we spread the school feeding to the next school, so that we can spread out the children to occupy those empty classes in the next school? And then, in some of the, for example, in the KGs and in the very lower classes, if there are other structures around that can accommodate the children, we will deploy them. For example, there are some schools which are housed in around church premises. Is it not possible for us to talk to the church authorities to allow some of the overflowing students to move in there and make sure that we are arranged in such a way that the student can receive teaching and learning effectively?
So that's the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Education Service speaking to Mamabi Owusu-Abuaje there. Let's stay a while longer on schools, this time around on universities and compliance of COVID-19 protocols. Some students of the University of Ghana have expressed dissatisfaction with the measures put in place by the management of the school to prevent the spread of coronavirus following the school's reopening on Monday. Since the university's reopening, some students have failed to adhere to the preventive protocols, going about without face coverings or ensuring social distancing. My colleague Kwekwa Sante was on campus earlier. Here is his report.
University of Ghana reopened for this year's academic year on Monday, 11 January 2021, but with concerns about the lack of adherence to government's COVID-19 preventive protocols. The first day on University of Ghana campus, so face coverings with very little or no social distancing. Today, the story was a bit different. Most students were seen in their face coverings going through their residential and academic registration. Some students of the university are dissatisfied with the measures put in place by the school to limit the spread of the virus.
I wasn't really, particular initiative. Bringing students for in a room where you realize that we have accommodation said that this accommodation deficit would only be solved only if you build hostels. And I think it's one of the most important things that the university people
to have put measures in place to deal with issues of COVID-19. The basic one is the wearing of nose masks. So you realize that across the 4 facilities we are in right now, many people are not wearing their nose masks, but they are able to enter into the various halls. Primary among the COVID-19 protocols is the washing of hands before you enter any facility. You would expect that every other hall you get to, there are, Veronica buckets and so on for people to wash their hands. None of that is being done. You would expect that people's temperatures will be checked. None of that is being done. So I'm wondering whether the essence of the whole double track thing is to control COVID, which we are told is a very debilitating virus and can, cause a widespread, infestation and can even lead to the loss of lives of people. So really, the university has been, if you want, negligent in putting measures in place for the observance of COVID protocols?
I would say that there's more room for improvement. I wouldn't say that we have put in place totally watertight mechanisms to prevent the spread of COVID. They are enforcing a no mask, no entry policy. There are taps here that people are supposed to, wash their hands with the water that is flowing from before they enter. I think for now, these are the mechanisms that have been put in place. The mono registration process is being streamlined in such a way that a lot of people will not gather at a place as we used to in the past. There are still one or two people breaking the protocols as is expected, but it is not something that is as widespread as we used to see in the past.
Meanwhile, Dean of Student Affairs at the University of Ghana, Professor Alufa Bobkin, says the university has put in place adequate measures to ensure adherence to COVID-19 preventive protocols and also to ensure that what happened on the first day of reopening does not happen again.
It was a bit, I wouldn't say a surprise, because the numbers that came yesterday was just too huge. And because it was the first mover advantage, it was difficult trying to tell them that you had selected a bed online, you were not going to lose it. So take your time, be in the line. Some also came with their parents and all of that. So that was a challenge. We observed that ourselves, and we apologize for what happened. Word had gone out to all the halls. In fact, yesterday on the hall masters and senior tutors platform, we discussed this. That look, what we observed yesterday, from our point of view, wasn't even the best for us and for our own safety and our staff and all of that. So, and I am happy to some extent today, because I'd gone around again this morning, and I'm happy to some extent to what I'm observing, that at least we are learning from the errors of yesterday. And we are not at the peak of it, more or less, in terms of observing all the protocols, because I still see students walking around without the nose mask and all of that. But we have incorporated all of this in the orientation for all freshmen, and the orientation essentially went out today. So my understanding is that people respond to incentives. So probably towards the end of today, tomorrow, thereabout, we'll begin to see that even apart from the halls, students, as they commute around, would equally put on the nose mask, observe the health protocols that we have put in place. Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done in that area.
Professor Bobkin also defended the decision to fully populate the halls of residence on campus.
We did so also in line with health advice, that in the annexes where it's a bit spacious and airy, it's okay to put 4 in a room, but in the main halls it's 3 in a room, 2 outer, 1 inner. This is also based on advice from the University of Ghana Emergency Response Team, which advises the university holistically on this pandemic. So we are just working in line with advice from health experts.
Although the university will undertake a large part of its academic modules online, there are still concerns that with halls of residence and hostels populated fully, the risk of the spread of the virus may be high.
Well, the Ghana Education Service is encouraging all girls who became pregnant, gave birth, or given out in marriages during the COVID-19 induced closure of schools to return to schools. Speaking at the national launch of the Back to School and Re-Entry campaign organized by the Education Service, MasterCard Foundation and UNICEF, Deputy Director of the Education Service, Anthony Boateng, stated that some children were also engaged in economic activities such as illegal mining during the break. Hence, there could be a challenge getting them to return to school.
The data we observed, when the final year and second year students in both senior high schools and junior high schools returned to school, indicated that some children did not come back to school. This is a worrying trend, and therefore we need the support of all stakeholders to encourage and motivate all children to return to school. Some of them have become involved in economic ventures that have exposed them to money and asking them to abandon such ventures to return to school is likely to be a challenge. Indeed, some of them are involved in galamsey, and they see money every day. Asking them to leave the money to come back to school is likely to be a challenge. Some have been used by their parents and guardians in some economic activities, and it has become a huge issue asking these parents and guardians to release the children to return to school. Indeed, some market women see their children as their special assistants or general managers. They now take care of the wares in the market. Some girls unfortunately, have become pregnant when schools were closed, and some of them have been given out into early marriages. To motivate such parents, guardians, students, and pupils, and indeed the general public to support efforts at ensuring the return of all students and pupils to school, management of Ghana Education Service, with support from some partners, initiated the Back to School campaign. The purpose is to sensitize Ghanaians, especially parents and community members, on the need for all children to return to school when school reopens. This means, therefore, that every Ghanaian child is being welcomed back to school, even including our girls, who for one unfortunate reason or the other got pregnant or gave birth in the course of the school closures. The GES still insists on sexual abstinence among all school children. However, under the current circumstance, we do not want any child to drop out of school simply because of COVID-19. That is why we are encouraging girls who are pregnant or those who have delivered to return to school. It is never an indication that we are promoting sexual promiscuity among schoolgirls.
Well, let's hear from country representative of UNICEF, Anne-Claire Dufay. She's urging parents to ensure that their children actually do return to school.
I mean, globally, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a terrible impact on children. We have 1.6 billion children that have been affected because they missed out on learning. And in Ghana, we have 8 million children who have also suffered from that situation. But also you have some vulnerable groups. And indeed, I mentioned adolescent girls because we are very concerned about the increasing number of girls who have become pregnant as teenagers. And some of them also got married before the age of 18. Now, Ghana has policies and strategies protecting girls from teenage pregnancy and early marriage. But unfortunately, with COVID, we sort of went backwards, and we are worried that we're going to lose all the gains that were made prior to the pandemic. So, first thing is we want to make sure that all the partners continue to work together to prevent teenage pregnancies and early marriage. When it happens, we have programs in place. When I say we, it's the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, to make sure that even if a girl has delivered a baby, that she can go back to school and she gets the support from the family and the community. Because we don't want girls to give up on their dreams and on the future that they deserve. We also are calling on boys and young men to protect those girls because it's also their responsibility. And the worst I've seen too many times is when a girl gets pregnant and the boy or the young man disappears. That's not fair.
And talking about being in school, I beg your pardon, 100 engineers in 10 years. That's the ambitious goal the former Deputy Education Minister, Dr. Yao Educhum, has set for the Bosomtwe constituency in the Ashanti region, where he is Member of Parliament. Dr. Educhum, an educationist of over 2 decades standing, is hoping this initiative would help industrialize the largely agrarian area. The first batch of 30, led by the MP himself, left the constituency on Monday morning to the University of Mines and Technology in Takwa, with their education fully funded. My colleague Justice Bedu was on that bus with them and has sent this report.
Emmanuel Owusu left senior high school in 2019 with aggregate 10. 1 year after he had entered SHS, his father died. His middle-aged mother sold a plot of land, the only property she ever had in her name, so Emmanuel could finish school. Emmanuel had 5 other siblings.
In the senior high school, it wasn't sometimes I have to struggle. Sometimes my friend have to give me money and then do stuff. You have to starve and then learn. It wasn't easy. Yes, it wasn't easy.
It is very tough if you want your child to go to school and yet do not have money. It's a painful situation to be in.
Elsewhere, more than 2 hours drive away, in the village of Bedase, Jennifer Dankwa, she too, a 2019 SHS graduate, has been waiting to enter university.
I see myself as someone who will be great in the future. So, although I come from the village, but I don't think like a villager. I always think like someone who is higher. So when I told my dad I want to go to school, even this year, if it wasn't the MP, I would have stayed home because there was no money to take me to school, but I was still persistent.
Jennifer and Emmanuel are 2 of 30 people from the Bosomtwe district going to university this year. They are on a special program by the Member of Parliament for the area, Dr. Yao Educhum. The program seeks to produce 100 engineers over the next 10 years. They are supposed to return to the constituency and bring back their knowledge to work here.
Let's say I complete geological engineering, someone will complete electrical. So we combine that knowledge together to build the constituency first, because we want some people to learn from what we've done. So we will build it, and then when you come here, you will know that yes, this place is engineering constituency.
It's the break of dawn Monday. Most universities are admitting freshmen this week, and today, the students on Dr. Educhum's scholarship are going to school too. The MP has come to have a last-minute pep talk with them before they get on the road together.
This is the journey to Takwa, and it is that journey that is going to bear fruits that will transform us. Engineers are solution providers, engineers are problem solvers, and if you have a critical mass of them, then you will see the transformation. And I think one critical thing is the engineering thinking is also critical in every sphere of enterprise. There are in some places where banks are hiring engineers, and it's a field that is very much needed in our nation. When they come back, not only are they going to impact their communities and impact their families, they're also going to impact the nation called Ghana.
Many of the young people on this bus today are traveling outside the Ashanti region, their home region, for the first time ever. It's over 6 hours from some of the villages where they are coming from to Takwa, where the University of Mines and Technology is located. But for them, it's a journey worth all their energies. A journey closing the door on one phase of their lives and opening another door on another phase that, with all things being equal, promises to be very exciting.
For this community, I'm going to be the first engineer. So it will help not only for myself, but for the community, because if they are doing anything that need the help of those of us who are going to study there, we can also contribute and help the community too. They can accomplish it with our help.
As these students make their way into UMAT, many look forward to acquiring skills that will change their lives, in the hope that their toils and the investment in their lives will be fruitful for themselves, their families, and Bosomtwe, their home. Justice Beidou, JoyNews, Takwa, in the Western region.
And we certainly cannot wait for the outcome when it does happen. You're watching The Pulse with me, Gifty, and our PR stories we've done already. COVID-19 and the concerns that doctors are raising about the number of the way that our wards are beginning to fill up gradually. Also, 4 fires in 3 days in Kumasi. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we do have more stories. To stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Well, there are calls from the public for the deployment of security personnel to enforce COVID-19 protocols following widespread disregard for the use of face masks and other protocols. The country's COVID-19 cases are rising sharply, with many infected persons suffering severe symptoms, and the lack of adherence to the protocols is said to be a major factor in the spread. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, speaks to ordinary people about this situation and finds out what can be done to address the problem.
On the streets of Accra and other cities across the country, many are going about their normal activities without face covering. The few who have masks are either keeping them in their bags, pockets, or not wearing them properly. Some, like this woman, attribute this to the bad example showed by the country's political leaders on national TV. In March 2020, when President Akufo-Addo imposed a lockdown in Greater Accra, Kumasi and contiguous districts, compliance to COVID-19 protocols was high. Police officers would routinely stop and question those not in masks, whilst authorities deployed task forces to the central business districts to ensure compliance of the no mask, no entry policy. At this time, the country's case count was just 141, with 5 deaths. Today, there are more than 55,000 confirmed cases, 1,200 of them active, 44 severe, and 338 deaths. But this is when Ghanaians are being reckless about the disease. Several weeks of electioneering campaigns, Christmas and New Year celebrations have contributed to the rising cases.
I would say 10 days ago that we started having slightly higher cases than discharges. So if you have more cases than discharges, then it tells you that you are going to have an increase in active cases. So I would say that over the past 1 week, there's an increase in number of cases. Government
is already procuring vaccines, but this will not be enough to vaccinate everyone and won't even arrive until at least March 2021. The Ghana Medical Association has confirmed the country's treatment facilities are stretched following an increase in symptomatic cases.
As a country, gradually, we are going to slip as far as COVID-19 is concerned. The situation is that, one, enforcement is not happening at any levels whatsoever. Over the Christmas period till now, I have had calls from over 20 different families who have had COVID one way or the other. And some of them, you talk to them, the system has not even reached out to them to see whether, one, they are doing well or what is happening to them in the first place. Okay. And these are people, per the structure we are running, are supposed to be known to the system. They are doctors or healthcare professionals who will be mapped to these patients to oversee their care, even where they are receiving care at home, i.e. outside the care centers or the hospitals.
Some Ghanaians we spoke to want security personnel deployed to enforce the protocols.
Well, security agents are around, so they should be around to make sure that others are wearing it. I was not wearing the mask and I went to pass in front of the Ghana police headquarters. Okay. But when I saw the policeman standing there, I wore it. Okay, so as you said, the security agencies, if for instance, let's say as we were coming inside, there's a policeman over there ensuring that people wear their nose mask. My brother was not wearing it, unfortunately. So like you'll be told to wear it even before he enters this place. So as you said, I think that's what is best to be done.
When it started, they actually said that the police should be the ones enforcing the wearing of nose masks. Now they don't also care. They don't wear it first of all, and they don't also even care.
With new variants spreading like wildfire, everyone would have to take personal responsibility before the security agencies are deployed to compel us. Fred Smith for JoyNews.
Fred Smith is head of our health desk who put together that report. Well, we're intended to speak to one of the doctors taking care of COVID-19 patients at this point on the show, but we're told he's actually head of the ICU and national coordinating member. They take care of severe cases. That's Dr. Chris O. What we're just told is that he has had to return to the ward to take care of an emergency. So obviously you understand that the situation they're dealing with at the hospitals, especially those that take care of COVID-19 cases, are very busy. Well, yesterday the world took time off to create awareness against human trafficking. The issue is prevalent in Africa, where even children and women are trafficked and in most cases forced into labor. Here on The Pulse today, we're joining the global effort to end the barbaric crime which has destroyed the lives of fellow human beings. We'll be joined by Princess Okansi, who is a leading advocate in Africa. More from her shortly. First, a report by Maxwell Agbagba looking at child trafficking in the eastern region of Ghana. He visited the lakeside in late last year.
Lake Volta has a booming fishing industry, a source of livelihood for many who live along its banks, but also a source of pain and anguish for many children who are taken from different places in Ghana to work as child slaves.
We're on a boat right now from Tapa, Abotuase, heading to one of the island communities around Afram Plains. Well, ahead of me, we have two boats. There's another one behind, and then another speedboat, all going for this rescue mission. And it's my first time on a boat like this. It promises already to be adventurous.
The trip to the island community of Edrakota was like a journey to eternity. Police say they had done extensive work prior to the rescue mission. After many days of investigations, they say 24 children and 11 boat owners were identified. The personnel arrived in the community knowing who they were going after.
Noted.
They all had copies of a booklet which had images of the suspected trafficked children and traffickers. 9 boat owners who were uncovered by undercover investigations were arrested.
Operation Ablode is still ongoing here at Edrepota, a community at the banks of the Volta Lake. What is ongoing behind me now is interrogation by the Criminal Investigations Department. The suspects are here, but surprisingly, all the children in the community have gone missing. The only people here on the banks of the river are women and men. We can't find the children.
The team will later learn the community had prior information. According to Deputy Public Relations Office of the Eastern Regional Police, Francis Gomado, the boat owners hid the children in their rooms, adjoining communities and the bush.
And when I was probing further to know the reason why we could not meet the children, it was clear from the chief's own words that he was even telling the people that they should let the children come so that we have interview with them. Those that are supposed to be helped will help them. But they didn't listen. We have it in mind that we don't want to antagonize anybody. It is 4:33 a.m. right now, and what is happening behind me, we have the arrival of some of the suspected trafficked children. After many hours of interrogation by the Criminal Investigations Department, we've had these children arriving here, and the rest of the process will continue.
Well, just yesterday, police in the northern region said that they had arrested 2 persons alleged to be trafficking children or engaged in child trafficking offences. 45-year-old Kweku Menu and his accomplice Joshua Nkambeye, all natives of Zabzugu, were said to be trafficking 11 children and a male adult of 20 years from the Zabzugu district of the northern region. They were headed towards Kumasi through the western north region. So, how do we stop practices like these? I'm joined by Princess Okanse. She's a member of the African Union Labour Migration Advisory Committee, also the founder of Necotech Center for Labour Migration Diplomacy. And she's joining us via Zoom. Thank you very much, Doc, for joining us. Now, let's begin with how bad the situation of human trafficking has been. First of all, I trust that the program went okay?
Yes, it did, yeah. We were on Zoom yesterday with several organizations, the End Deadly Work Coalition in the US, and several other stakeholders in the fight against human trafficking.
So, from your perspective, once again, we're broadening the conversation, looking at how bad you think the situation of human trafficking has been in the couple of years, the past couple of years.
All right. It's the second most heinous crime in the world. And there are many organizations today that are committed and have devoted themselves just to fight this crime. The US somehow is leading in the amount of trafficking. The trafficking is internal as well as it is external. It's a $150 billion industry, and from anywhere from Africa to Europe, through the Mediterranean, as you know, over there across the Sahara, and also to the Middle Eastern countries, and then within the US itself also they have traffic. It's pretty much in every country. It manifests itself in terms of sex exploitation, forced labor, or debt bondage. And those are the 3 key systems that are used for trafficking.
Well, you recently held a program, and I believe that it's all part of the awareness creation. To what extent does the awareness creation, you think, target the right people, especially those in authority, to do things that serve as deterrent for other people who intend to engage in child trafficking or human trafficking, so to speak?
We have included, I'm also chairperson for the UNYA Ghana. And so we're trying to work with the youth. We have about 275 shadow ministers. We're trying to get the youth to also get involved, apart from the work that we also do at the African Union level. We need to have the opinion leaders and those in the policy areas to completely understand the mechanisms that are used for human trafficking. We also need to have, say, NCCE, the community itself. We must start the warfare from the homes so that parents even know what it is, to educate their children to understand when they're being trafficked, all the way through to the community and then to the region and then national and then continental and global. So at all levels, we have to fight this war. But the people in leadership positions must there's a lot of awareness has to be created. We are asking communities to have dialogues and have a dialogue between the community and the leaders about, the consequences and how the human trafficking is done. Most of the time it's very subtle. And so people don't even know that's what is happening until it has actually happened already. So the community level, and then coming into on the country scale, making sure that our laws and our policies are shaped in such a way that trafficking will not survive.
Hopefully it won't. But what are your thoughts going forward? I mean, we're in 2021. If there's anything to go by in terms of resolutions in that front, fighting human trafficking, what should be our goal, for example, this year as we wrap up?
The first thing is awareness. We have a partnership now with GI Forum, which is Journalists International Forum, which is for about 300 journalists in Ghana and in Nigeria and along the west coast of Africa who have come together to make sure that the media is very well informed about the issues on human trafficking. And I believe that media has an important role to play, and I want to congratulate Joy FM for for holding this program today, because once the word is out and people understand and know what to look for, it will be the first big step. We have a summit coming up on February 25th to 26th. We're looking for more advocates against human trafficking. We want to build them in every single constituency in this nation. Apart from what the government is doing, we believe that the civil society must also play a role to assist government's efforts to ensure that in each constituency and each community, human trafficking is stamped out. So our goal for this year is to put these advocates into every single community. And so we are reaching out to everybody who's out there today. And if you're under the sound of my voice and you would like to be part of this movement to stop human trafficking in its tracks in this country and across the West African area and the ECOWAS area, please do reach out to us. We have a site that they can go to called joinenddeadlywork.com.
Can you go over that again?
Yes, it's join.enddeadlywork. So it's JOIN join.enddeadlywork.com. So end END and then deadly DEADLY work WORK.com. So it's join.enddeadlywork.com. Join.enddeadlywork.com.
Great. All right. Well, if there's anything else you'd like to add in 30 seconds as we wrap up, we'll take it. Otherwise, that's it for me. And hopefully we'll do a better job at protecting people from human trafficking this year.
I just want to reiterate again that we have the summit coming up. We're asking all anti-human trafficking advocates to get on board with us, and let's join hands and put a stop to this menace. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time as well. That's Dr. Princess Okansi. She's an immigration advocate. Well, she advocates for people, not just for people to travel, but for people to travel the right way, and also stands against human trafficking. Away from that, the NDC parliamentary candidate for Hohoe in the just-ended 2020 elections, Professor Margaret Kweku, has filed a petition to challenge the results of the polls which saw her lose to former Energy Minister John Peter Amewu in a historic performance. This brings to 4 the total number of parliamentary election results being challenged in as many court cases across the country. It is also the second time that the Hohoe election results are being challenged after residents of Santro Kofi, Akwafu, Likpe and Lolobi tried to injunct Mr. Amewu from being sworn in on January 7. John Amewu's victory makes it the first time that the NPP has won a seat in the Volta region since 1992. The AM show spoke to lawyer Martin Kpebu on this latest case.
Okay, so basically, since we encounter of law, if somebody says that Mr. X is not qualified to be an MP, what we naturally have to do is to look at what the law says. So what does the law say? So we have the Constitution, which spells out in Article 94 the qualifying criteria for a person to be a member of Parliament. So if you take the Athens North one, it borders on dual citizenship, Article 94 too, right? Where it says that for a person to qualify as a member of Parliament, to be elected as a member of Parliament, a person should not owe allegiance to any other country, which in ordinary English means that he should not be a dual citizen. Yes. So
Lawyer Martin Kpebu there speaking earlier on the AM show. This is still the pulse with me, give to up here. And this is where we part ways. There is more news at myjoyonline.com. Do log on, share our link with your colleagues. But the video is also on demand on our YouTube link. You can just catch the video right there. My name is Gifty and that's how we wrap up.